March 22nd, 2021, the day 10 people were killed by a shooter at the Table Mesa King Soopers in Boulder. More than 3 years later, those families still wait for justice, though that wait is closer to an end. The jury in the trial for that shooter has now been selected, and opening statements are expected to begin today in Boulder. 16 jurors, including 4 alternates, will hear the case. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon joins us live from Boulder with a preview of what's to come starting today. Courtney, good morning.
Good morning, Corey. Yeah, we're about 3 hours away from the beginning of opening statements when court starts, which means we're about 3 hours away from hearing from prosecutors and attorneys of the King Soopers shooter. Ahmad Alissa pleaded guilty by reasons of insanity months ago, though his attorneys have acknowledged more than once he killed 10 people at a grocery store in Boulder in March 2021. The shooter faces 64 separate criminal charges. That includes 10 counts of first-degree murder after deliberation, meaning he thought about and intended to cause the deaths. But much of this trial is expected to focus on the shooter's mental state at the time of the shooting. That brings us back to the plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. The question at the center is what constitutes insanity. According to our legal analyst, it's based on a principle that goes back centuries.
The McNaughton rule, and that's the failure to be able to understand the difference between right and wrong and to have your actions conform to that understanding of what's right and what is not.
So the burden falls to prosecutors to prove the shooter did it and was not insane when he committed the crimes, and it will be up to the jurors to make a decision for each of the 64 counts against him. Here are their options. They can find him not guilty, meaning he didn't do it, or the state failed to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Another option is not guilty by reason of insanity, meaning they concluded he did it, but the defense presented credible evidence that he was insane at the time, and prosecutors failed to prove otherwise. They can also find him guilty. If jurors find the shooter guilty, the judge only has one option, and that's to sentence him to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Again, court is set to start at 9 o'clock here in Boulder. There will be a reporter there in the news or in the courtroom, and we'll bring you updates on air and online as well. Live in Boulder, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
This has been a long time coming for these families. Courtney, thank you.
6:05 now, and it appears that law enforcement is making progress against the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua in the Denver metro area. The gang has been at the center of a media frenzy, given claims that they've taken over buildings in Aurora. The city and tenants in the buildings dispute that. A spokesperson says the gang's presence is small, and police have made arrests. One of those was Leonardo Jose Pacheco Chirino, who lived at an apartment complex at Colfax and Nome Street. Officers arrested the 22-year-old in March for first-degree assault. Last month, 4 people were arrested for a shooting that injured 3 people at that same complex. Pacheco Chirino was among them, along with his brother. An affidavit says that they are likely members of the gang. The city of Aurora says they did not shut down the building for gang activity, but instead for bad living conditions that date back years.
This week, the Garfield County coroner identified the man killed by officers at the Glenwood Meadows shopping center Monday as Richard Grand. The report says the 55-year-old died from multiple gunshot wounds. The announcement came 2 days after officers tried to arrest Grand for an outstanding warrant. When officers tried to approach him, they say Grand pulled out a gun leading to the shooting. The investigation remains active.
Right now, Colorado Parks and Wildlife say that they need help looking for the person who shot and killed a critically endangered bird. It happened back in March in southwestern Colorado. CPW says that the bird was a California condor. It was found dead in a remote area northeast of Lewis. The agency doesn't have any leads at the moment, but keep in mind, killing an endangered animal is a felony. The person who did it can face up to 5 years in prison, and if you have any information on the shooting, you are asked to reach out to CPW.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife has released its annual gray wolf report. We now know one of the animals reintroduced in Colorado had a 17-hour drive from Oregon before being released in Park County. 9 other wolves came by plane. The report also explains how CPW captured those 10 wolves in Oregon before moving them to Colorado. They were not sedated and they were kept in crates. In all, it took 19 people to get the animals here. The report relies on data from the wolf biological year, which ran from April 1st of last year through March 31st of this year. It does not include any information on livestock killed this year. As we speak, CPW is working to capture 2 of these wolves because of continued livestock losses. Officials are also trying to catch at least 3 of their pups from Grand County. CPW's director says they will be relocated, but it's not explained what that means.
The city of Boulder is advising community members to stay out of the water and not allow dogs, in the reservoir. This warning comes after people spotted a potentially harmful algae bloom in Boulder Reservoir. While the swim beach is already closed for the season, watercraft are still allowed on the reservoir. The city is recommending avoiding contact in areas of an active bloom. Anglers should also clean any fish thoroughly. The reservoir will stay closed until the algae clears up.
With West Nile cases across Colorado climbing in recent years, one county is trying out a new prevention program. In 2020, there were just 35 cases reported in all of Colorado. That's compared to 635 last year. So far this year, Adams County has reported one case, but has 3 more under investigation. In total, it reported 45 cases last year. While the numbers look much better, they're offering free mosquito repellent for the first time.
We just wanted to do a little bit extra this year to try to provide those to our Adams County community to help prevent West Nile this year.
You can find more information about where to get free repellent on 9news.com.
Colorado's latest property tax compromise is official. The governor signed off on $250 million in tax cuts yesterday. Governor Polis and the small group of legislative leaders who brokered the deal gathered to sign it into law. The bill passed during August special session makes relatively minor property tax cuts and caps future tax collection. The bill faced bipartisan criticism from legislators who said that they were left out of negotiations and that the bill doesn't go far enough to provide relief for renters and low-income families. Governor Polis insists the property tax relief will have ripple effects for everyone.
And one thing to know about the weather for today, it's a brief taste of fall, mid-70s for us in Denver today. We got some of those clouds, occasional showers around before probably about 10 a.m. But the real story for today, no doubt about it, it's that brief taste of fall, those highs just in the mid-70s, 10 degrees below average, and also about 20 degrees cooler than where we were back on your Tuesday. But if you like the summer weather, we warm back up. Details on that come up in my full forecast in a couple minutes.